Okay, so let's dive straight in. Tesla's really gearing up for something potentially massive here. We've been digging into this really interesting discussion on the Farzad YouTube channel. It's all about their Robotaxi launch, the one they're aiming for, what, June 1st in Austin?
That's the date, yeah. And our goal here really is to unpack what's actually significant about that.
Exactly. Cut through the hype, We want to look at Tesla's strategy, the potential impact, basically why this could be such a big deal, not just for them, but maybe for all of us.
Right. And we'll try to connect the dots for you, the listener, focusing on those core insights without getting lost in, super technical weeds.
So the big question swirling around.
Right.
What are the actual expectations? Is it really going to be driverless from day one?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
And how does this stack up against competitors, like Waymo? What does it all mean for autonomous driving in general?
Well, starting with that June 1st target, what's interesting from the Farzad discussion is this feeling of cautious optimism, maybe strong optimism.
Right.
They drew a parallel to the version 12 software rollout, where Tesla made a bold promise and actually delivered on time.
Yeah, I remember that. There was skepticism then, too.
Exactly. So there's this sense that maybe they have that same level of confidence internally right now for the Robotaxi service. The expectation is definitely set.
And the real kicker, the thing everyone's talking about, is this idea of launching without safety drivers.
Which sounds pretty wild initially.
It does. But the key context here, which Farzad highlighted, is Texas. The rules there are different.
Very different from California, yeah. They don't mandate safety drivers for AVs.
So combine that regulatory freedom with Musk mentioning maybe just a small fleet to start 10, 20 cars, perhaps.
Monitored remotely, potentially.
Right. Suddenly, launching without a human in the driver's seat doesn't seem just possible. It actually seems, well, quite likely, according to their analysis.
And that immediately raises the stakes, doesn't it? How will people react? How will the market react?
The public perception is huge.
Sure, having a safety driver might, ease some people into the idea initially, make it feel a bit safer.
Maybe more palatable, yeah.
But the argument made on Farzad is that going fully driverless from the get-go sends a powerful message. It signals immense confidence in the tech.
It's a flex, basically.
It is, and that could differentiate them instantly from competitors, maybe even boost market interest, stock value, assuming it works well, obviously.
It's funny, they mentioned running a poll during their show.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the audience was pretty much split down the middle. Half expected safety drivers, half didn't. Shows how uncertain it still feels.
It really does. And, you mentioned competitors. You can't talk about Austin AVs without talking about Waymo.
The elephant in the room, yeah. They're already there, operating fully driverless.
They are. So if Tesla does launch without safety drivers on June 1st, it's game on. Direct competition.
No asterisks, no caveats about human backup.
Exactly. But as the Farzad guys pointed out, the crucial factor then becomes the service area. How big is Tesla's initial zone going to be?
Right. Is it just a few blocks or something more substantial?
Their sort of best case scenario prediction was Tesla launching June 1st, no driver, and a service area bigger than Waymo's current Austin footprint.
Wow. Okay. That would immediately shift the narrative.
Absolutely. But let's zoom out for a sec, thinking longer term. Scale.
Ah, yes. Tesla's potential trump card.
It really is. Look at Waymo. They have a dedicated, purpose-built, but relatively small fleet. Tesla, on the other hand,
has millions of cars already sold, driving around equipped with the hardware.
Millions, all potentially capable of running this software, joining a network, or becoming personal robot chauffeurs down the line. The sheer volume difference is staggering.
That production capacity versus Waymo's fleet size.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental difference in potential scalability.
It really is. And another point from the Farzad discussion that really stood out was about the Texas regulations again.
Okay, what about them?
It's not just that they don't require safety drivers. It's that the state has sole authority, not the individual cities.
Yeah, so Austin can't just make its own rules.
Apparently not for AVs. The state calls the shots, which is huge because it avoids that messy patchwork of different rules in every town or county.
Right, that could really slow down expansion elsewhere. So in Texas, Tesla could theoretically expand beyond Austin city limits much more easily.
That seems to be the implication. It's a significant regulatory advantage if they want to scale geographically within the state.
Okay, that makes sense. So the initial launch zone size is important.
Yes, as a signal of initial confidence.
But maybe even more important is how fast they expand after that.
Exactly. That's what the Farzad analysis suggests. Watch the geographic expansion in the months after June 1st. How quickly do they push into suburbs? How many square miles are they covering?
And the unsupervised miles driven, I guess.
Those will be the key metrics. They'll tell us how mature the system really is, how fast it's learning and improving in the real world.
It fits Tesla's pattern, right? They call the derivative the rate of improvement.
Precisely. The expectation, based on their track record, is constant accelerating improvement. We saw it with FSD beta development.
Going from tentative city driving to, well, what it is now.
Right. The assumption is the Robotaxi service will follow that same steep improvement curve, both in capability and operational area.
And this decision to go straight for ride-hailing for the Robotaxi network before maybe perfecting unsupervised FSD for individual owners to use anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, what does that signal?
Well, Farzad interpreted it as a sign of real confidence, like they believe it's ready enough for this specific controlled application.
And it aligns with their mission, right?
Wow.
Accelerating sustainable transport. A shared robotaxi network does that more directly than just individual autonomous cars initially anyway.
Plus the potential revenue stream, presumably.
Can't ignore that. It's a build strategic choice, prioritizing the network launch.
It's funny, they even briefly contrasted it with, like, Apple's approach.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Just that Apple tends to be more incremental, more cautious with big new tech leaps, whereas Tesla under Musk is more visionary risk-taking.
Willing to push the envelope, especially with something as transformative as AI and autonomy, shows the difference leadership style can make.
Definitely. Okay, so let's try and pull this all together.
Yeah.
What are the main takeaways from digging into that Farzad discussion?
Oh, first, that June 1st Austin launch. It's genuinely generating excitement, and a lot hinges on whether they go driverless from the start.
Right. That's the big headline grabber.
Then there's the Texas advantage, the regulations allowing driverless operation and state-level control, potentially smoothing the path for expansion.
And Tesla's inherent scale advantage, that massive existing fleet just waiting for the software.
Don't forget that. And while the initial service area size matters,
The real test is the speed and scope of expansion afterwards. That's the key indicator to watch, competing against Waymo and proving the tech's maturity.
exactly. How quickly can they cover more ground, more unsupervised miles? That tells the story.
Okay, now for that final thought, something for you, the listener, to really mull over.
Go on.
If Tesla does succeed here, if they roll out a truly autonomous, scalable robotaxi service, what happens next?
Yeah, think beyond just Tesla's stock price.
Think about cities, urban planning. Do we need as many parking lots? How does traffic flow change?
What about owning a car? Does that become less necessary or maybe just different for a lot of people?
It could fundamentally change how we think about mobility, how our towns and cities are structured,
Yeah.
what starts in Austin. It really could be chapter one of a massive transformation.
It's a profound shift potentially waiting to happen. So for you listening, this is just a snapshot, right? Things are moving incredibly fast.
Absolutely. Stay curious. Follow the news coming out of Austin around June 1st and beyond.
Consider those bigger implications. What parts of this whole story grab your attention the most? What questions do you still have?
Because this journey into autonomous transportation, it's really just getting started. It's going to be fascinating to watch unfold.